Hey guys, welcome to the final E3 conference reaction from Sony's E3 press conference. Or not from Sony, after Sony's E3 press conference. I'm Bryan Swan, aka at Democracy. Find me on Facebook and YouTube. Joined with Mark, aka Canine Biscuit. Find him on YouTube and Facebook. Yes, it's over. Maja, aka Fangirl Tuber. Find her on Twitter and Tumblr. And Kevin, aka Fair Off Dragonoid. Find him on YouTube and Facebook. Followed by Jet Harris on YouTube. Now, guys, this was here's what I'll say, right? So I'll set the scene. I'll set the scene for you. It was good, but it was good. But I have some inherent problems with this conference. Unfortunately, number one, I don't know the stage location. Like this. There's no reason for me to bicker about it, but I don't know about you guys. If you guys pay attention to E3, I like Sony's old stage where it was wraparound and they had a giant screen. It was pretty modern and it looked good. This is just like a throwback to an old theater, and it was bland.
It's like college auditorium.
Like college auditorium made the entire conference look different. Whatever. And then you look at the games, and I mean, we have. So let's run down because I'm not gonna. I have to run down all of them the correct way here.
Well, I can't say I was disappointed because I didn't have expectations to begin with.
I had a lot of expectations.
Okay.
Let's start with God of War. That was announced. Just God of War, no semicolon name because I put a bet on it and I failed. Ben's game was Days Gone, and as Mark and I talked about, it is the generic game that we all were waiting for. Actually, we weren't because it looks boring as hell. But hey, it looks like The Walking Dead. So if anyone's excited about that, that's cool. Except Xbox also has a game that looks like The Walking Dead, but you can create communities inside of them, so two different Walking Dead creation games. You have The Last Guardian, which now has a release date. Has a release date of October. Horizon and Detroit were also mentioned. I think Detroit was cool because they had a different person or a different cyborg or whatever automation. Sorry, in there. Horizon. I'm just depressed. I'm trying to focus, and this is so fucking. VR. There were a lot. So Resident Evil 7 is on VR.
Final Fantasy 15 is on VR. Yay!
Final Fantasy 15 has its own VR version. You have Batman Arkham VR. You have Battlefront has a VR version. I was excited about that. Farpoint is a new VR game. Very scary. It's going to be released on October 13th. It'll have 50 games by the end of the year, and it'll be $3.99. Now, Call of Duty was mentioned, but we were surprised as hell because it looked completely different from what Call of Duty was. That was Eve Valkyrie at first. And Crash is back. I think that should be exciting and worth noting, but I'm sorry, I'm just not there right now. He's going to also get an exclusive Skylander. What else was there? Lego Star Wars was mentioned. Kojima was shown off on stage with a lot of excitement. His game's called Death Stranding, and there's a new Spider-Man game. After that, they went on stage and they literally just showed the most boring game of their presentation again. I'm sorry, Microsoft blew them out of the water. I can't. I wish Sony at least put some. What are your general thoughts? I wish I could focus on a particular topic right now, but I want you guys to control the conversation. What are your general thoughts?
Just let me take it. I'm gonna get this out right now.
Where we are.
I'm happy for Final Fantasy 15 being showed so much, and I'm glad that it's getting a VR. But where the fuck is Kingdom Hearts? Where is it?
I have to say I was mildly disappointed in what PlayStation has presented. And,
and there were a lot of games. It's not like it was a bad conference. It was just that we were expecting. Come on,
something for them to pull out their ass, and they're just like
let's give you some standard games.
I'll give them an A for effort for at least
A for effort.
Trying.
I guess.
Trying.
Well, they did. What I see is like kind of the same thing they did last year.
True.
It's like they showed a lot of games with no gameplay, and that they showed a lot of games with no gameplay.
That was all gameplay mostly.
Well,
That was pretty much gameplay.
there was gameplay of God of War. There was gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
Of generic.
I'm just thinking Death something.
Days Gone, you mean?
No, not the other one. Kojima.
That was just a giant. That cutscene literally looked like it costed millions of dollars to make. I'm sorry. I'm just like that's already spilling money. I don't know how much that game's gonna cost. It's played by Norman Reedus, but
yeah, brain fart. Never mind. But like it's like a. It's like retreading the same thing they kind of did last year. It's like but like the games were as interesting or like it's just like not much surprising.
Right.
It's just like there's so many games.
I guess like I haven't seen Microsoft talk, but like it's a I guess it's an okay press conference. I feel the same way it kind of did last year, which is really honestly not really that great.
Right.
But like it's just like
it was standard.
It's still standard. No big surprises. Like just as things what we expected. Some things we've seen before, and some things we already know that existed. They just like retreaded, I guess.
Right. Let's start piece by piece here. We saw God of War. The visuals of that thing look beautiful. It looks attractive as hell. Kratos in his full beardiness, as if you will. We saw gameplay. What did you guys think of that? That was pretty cool. You know,
it looks like I think it's it's like
I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's a reboot.
Really,
like,
okay.
It has to be because like it's using the like reboots usually use the just like the title with no subtitles, the franchise title with no subtitles. So like, it looks like a nice reboot. Doesn't look God of War. Doesn't look God of War. It looks more like
Spartacus.
Yeah, Spartacus.
I mean,
Dark Souls, not Dark Souls, but like just like from that type of developer, if you get what I mean.
Right.
It looks good though. I'm like the enemy designs definitely look God of War-ish. I definitely feel like I will get that God of War vibe when I see more of the game. It's definitely in there. I just haven't seen it yet. But like it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, I'm like, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but like the God of War looked good, but I got an equal amount of hype from that God of War game than I did of For Honor. Like honestly, because they kind of look a little bit kind of similar.
Except one is a popular Sony franchise.
Except one
the
of
other
them
is a brand
popular
new IP.
franchise. One of them is like a new thing. Now. What else was there? They had a shit ton of games they could really reveal.
Let's keep moving through. But I think God of War, it's good to make a reboot. I think people were expecting God of War 4, but rebooting the series with the PlayStation 4, I guess, is a smart move. We followed that up with they had a game, not a gameplay trailer, just like a CG trailer of Days Gone, which we got gameplay reveal of. This thing felt like a Walking Dead video game, pretty much, where you're going up against zombies in a world by yourself or in a group, or they didn't really tell us if we were in a group or not. It looks like you're going solo against other people in a world that is very, very in a bad shape and has been destroyed by something, unfortunately. Now, I'm not very interested in this. Maja, you're a huge Walking Dead fan. Does this interest you any bit at all? Just tell me the truth.
I want to read this. That's all I care about.
Okay. Well then, fuck you. Now, overall, that's the next. Okay, so we get into The Last Guardian.
It's just salty.
We get to The Last Guardian, and it gets a release date because they've now had gameplay. They've now mentioned this game in 2 E3s because it didn't come out before this E3.
It's confusing me to see that game because I remember like
it was supposed to be out years ago, and then they reappeared it last year, and it's supposed to be out earlier this year, and it got delayed to the end of this year. Hopefully, it doesn't get delayed to next year because that'd be stupid. But overall,
I think they got a confident release date now. It's been
it has to. It better be It better be there. I mean, come on. No mention of No Man's Sky, but let's keep going through here. Horizon and Detroit had gameplay. Yeah, there was heavy gameplay, dude. Horizon had a pretty good chunk of time, like 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay. for Horizon, which gave us a little bit more of a narrative of what the world is like. The previous demos were very familiar. They just felt like they tried on the same issues. Overall, it was just, you beat a boss. This here, you had it showed you other methods of controlling the beasts. It showed you other methods of defeating them. I'm surprised you guys aren't as interested. But you have Detroit, which was cool as well because you had a different automation.
Yeah.
Compared to the other trailers, I hadn't seen that before, and then it also presented you with the different choices that you had. So each trailer, each piece of gameplay gave you an idea of the game, gave you more of an identity of what you'd be playing in the future. And then we get into VR. VR, the first thing that was revealed was Resident Evil 7, and that's going to be on VR as an option, I believe, and then the other part of the game, I'm sure, will be in non-VR. They started talking about VR, the system itself. Are you guys excited? Are you guys excited about it? I mean,
the console, the VR.
The VR headset. It's $399.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. They got a lot of good games on there. It looks pretty good.
That Final Fantasy hype though.
I was hyped as shit for Final Fantasy, but I'm gonna try and keep it on the topic. VR looks good. It looks like it can run things pretty well. I mean, we won't know fully until all the games that are for it come out and see how it handles. I'm just looking forward to
Well, yeah. So
the future.
Sorry to cut you off real quick, but so far I think the VR is the VR. They shown a very confident presentation of the VR. The look looks like a. Their VRs look like it's giving competition to the other VRs right now.
Yeah.
The VR, their VR
headset
lineup. Their VR.
Oh, and their
lineup looks really good, and it just complements the fact that it's the cheapest VR.
Yeah.
As of right now, so
exactly.
yeah. I'll me and Anthony of Democracy will talk probably more about this on the solo podcast later, but I gotta go.
All right.
Can I biscuits?
But yeah. We look at I think one of the craziest reveals was the fact that, of course, we had VR. But your thoughts on VR, Justin?
It was pretty. VR was pretty good. Feels like it's gonna run things, and it's gonna bring to the table a new generation of video games. I think it has potential, and I think it's gonna be good. Especially with the games that are coming out for it, especially for cheap. And
right. I see right now that PlayStation is really confident in its VR system. It's obvious that VR is the next step towards new gaming and more immersive gaming, where gaming is now okay, you're in the game. You're not. It's not just you're playing the game and oh, that kind of scared me. No, you're actually in it. You're feeling it, and it's just
We're just all kind of bummed out right now. Let's call
yeah, we're just kind of. I'm
this thing missed.
There are some games I was. There were some games I was interested in, and one of the games I was really interested in, it was the game made by the same developers of Heavy Rain.
That was the one that I mentioned before. That was Detroit.
So
we had the options.
When you have all those different options of how it was just so in depth of how each option you make, each scenario you go through affected the game in a different way.
Right.
And it, one scenario was that they showed us that when he failed, where the little girl had died with the android, I was like, well, wow. But then they showed you different scenarios of
capture that
how
person,
you could have died or it died, or how he let the girl go. He trusted you, and then he still died. I'm just like, wow. It was one of the most exciting points, and the PlayStation Sony conference.
Right.
Sony, however, also, like you mentioned before, released the God of War, and that one was it was kind of shaking to me. It was after he killed all of the gods. It's like this to me. I don't feel like it's a reboot. I feel like it's still a continuation. Like after he killed all the gods, he decided because like he killed himself, didn't he? Like after he killed all the gods, he killed himself, and the world was recreated and stuff like that. But I guess like he lived, and he's like, okay, so I had children.
Wouldn't it be a reboot then? Because if he killed himself, then that storyline pretty much closes, right?
But then again, it also still after God of War Extensions, he was like that was like after death. He was still doing stuff. So maybe he came back to life. I've never finished it, you know. Right. Maybe he came back to life and he's like, okay, I'm gonna settle down, have a child, and now his mom's dead. I'm gonna just make my son strong because I want him to be strong.
Right.
And like he has an axe that's like enchanted and imbued with some sort of power in it.
Yeah, that was pretty big.
So and that giant thing was a troll. So I'm just like I'm interested to see where it's gonna fully go. Right. I want to know what's gonna happen to that kid because one of my predictions is that kid's gonna get either hurt, he's gonna die. Something's going on.
Which will hurt Kratos and then will lead to God of War 2 most likely. There were a lot of games on VR that were very interesting. I know some of you guys weren't as interested when I saw the Battlefront mission, singular mission. I was hyped for it, but it was only one mission, and that kind of got me down. I was really hyped for the idea that we'd be able to fight alongside other X-Wings against the Imperial forces. But nope, we only get one mission.
And this is just my opinion. The Lego Star Wars
was better.
Look way better than the other Star Wars I've seen so far. I'm just like, if Legos is gonna give us a Star Wars game that we're wanting, then just give it. I mean, Legos is giving us something that we want, and so just take it. I'm gonna take it. I mean, it's a Star Wars game that I really want. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
the Lego Star Wars game was really interesting. Because when you compare it to we saw the trailer, it was witty, it was cool, they had some very funny points in it. It carries all the identity of Lego, and it does it very well, while also being a Star Wars game. I'm really interested in that as well. When I saw this Battlefront VR mission, I was like, we are actually going to be able to put on a headset and be in the fucking movie, which you go into the trench run and you fucking fight against all these things. That got me hyped. I was excited. But moving on, Batman Arkham VR is coming as a Batman fan, as a closet Batman fan, and an outside Batman fan. How do you feel, Masha, about that? Potatoes?
I actually am really hungry.
Okay. We'll get...
So, what did I think about the Sony conference?
I love Batman, so...
Yeah, we're talking about
I feel like...
Batman!
I just imagining with the Batman game, like, how it would be. Because I played like 2 or 3 of the Arkham games, and it's just... They are all action-packed.
Right,
so
it's like, how are they going to process that over?
Yeah, having it in VR, I get to actually see through the eyes of Batman. The Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah, I get to fly around, but I get to drive around my Batmobile, get to fly around. I want to throw a freaking batarang. Alright? Like, going in for the stealth kills, using all the gadgets. That's gonna really appeal to me, and even for other fans of, like, the Batman series. And also a thought is, like, since it's the Arkham series, they're probably gonna have like more playable characters. You can't just go as Batman. Probably go as Robin. Probably Catwoman.
I hope they. I mean, it depends.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
I don't know. Catwoman. Like,
I mean, it depends.
She's badass.
I'm gonna.
Don't even.
I'm gonna move this sexism conversation out of here. But what I'm gonna go with now is into so Final Fantasy 15. Was shown off at Xbox at the Xbox conference, and we were thinking that it was not going to be there at PlayStation. However, they showed off their stuff here, a lot of stuff here actually for Final Fantasy 15. I was surprised they had a lot more content over here.
Justin got really moist about it,
and
like
it was very fascinating.
Justin was just...
And there's a VR experience you get to play alongside that girl character. I don't follow Final Fantasy all that much, but Justin, as a huge Final Fantasy fan, what were your thoughts after seeing all this awesome Final Fantasy junk?
Yo.
Boy.
My boy Noctis was fucking it up with VR, yo. I was just like, I was so hyped. Every inch and every moment of watching that trailer was just like, oh, you can do this, and you had all these. I thought I saw Ramu at one point, like the Final Fantasy summon, and when he had the VR, I was just like, oh, I get to party up with like my friends and whatnot,
Right.
and do VR missions and shit, and I get to freaking
Go out there
live
and
in a
do-
world of Final Fantasy.
Literally.
Yes, like quite literally. I could probably like I could start using freaking magic, whatnot. Take on giant monsters like that's. You don't just imagine that.
Yeah.
It's Final Fantasy, dude.
It blew the lid off the place. People were so happy about that.
I'm so hyped right now. I can't even like speak.
Contain it. Yeah.
Woo!
You know, one of the surprising things was like when Sony revealed the sci-fi action game. They started out in this space battleship, and we were curious of what it was for a very long time. You know, they were going through all these corridors, and then you got into the ship, and you started flying, and it didn't look like the game that we'll mention. It's like they were avoiding the name a lot. They were flying through and battling, and then they landed on this area, and they were attacking, and it's like, is this fucking Call of Duty? Is this fucking Call of Duty right now?
I was like, this would be bullshit if it was Call of Duty.
Is this
man. Like,
is this Call of
what are you
Duty?
talking about?
Because it didn't look like Call of Duty, it looked like some other game, and they blew the socks off of my expectations of this game. The fact that, yeah, this was this I think that people will still think that it was overhyped, but overall, this game has a completely different feel to it than what we saw from the trailer. It all comes down to delivery, and this delivery is, I'm sorry to say, much better than the original delivery of what they showed off the first time. Like you said, Kevin, before, Call of Duty here was completely given it was in a completely different shape than what we saw in the prior trailer. Now, gameplay reveal, knocked it out of the park. What do you think about it, man? Because I fucking loved it.
Like I said, people were judging it and hating it just because they saw all the technology in there, and they figured, oh, there's gonna be more boost jumping, more boost sliding, more punches, more robots, this, that, the third.
Which they still be.
thought, yeah,
in
but
multiplayer at least.
But what you see here is the classic feel that you like of an old Call of Duty here, somewhat.
With some awesome sci-fi in the back. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, awesome sci-fi in the background. And, like, I knew that it wasn't going to be all technology-based as they say it was. Even though there was a lot of sci-fi stuff in it, it's not totally, I'm going to run on the walls and do all this stuff. It's still ground-based warfare with some
space-based warfare.
With some space-based warfare and thrown in the mix. So, I don't know what everybody was so worried about. Like,
looks. Imagine this in VR, though. Call of Duty in VR is gonna blow, like, especially in the space dogfights. I feel I'm gonna crash like 4 or 5 times, probably 8 or 9 before I get used to the actual feel. Probably 10 or 12. Make that about 20 before I actually master this.
Get good, scrub.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this. This blew my expectations, but nothing blew expectations off of the PlayStation fan base like when Crash Bandicoot literally returned to the flesh. Now, there was not a new game like I thought there would be, but there was a return. There will be a remaster of 1, 2, and 3, I believe is what they said. Hopefully Crash Team Racing also gets in there. Please. Those probably not. But those 3 will be will get into the PlayStation 4 remaster system in the future, which is pretty damn cool.
How about Twin Sanity? Like, can we get them remaster that? I mean, whatever.
No. Then they showed off Lego Star Wars. Talked about that. Really cool. Yeah, has all the nature of it. Kojima's. I think we talked about that as well. The dripping. Kojima was dripping of money on the trailer. For Norman Reedus fan crush.
But still, all
much?
this being said, it didn't. This whole conference as a whole did not.
It didn't live up
compare to.
Yeah. Now we're gonna switch over and talk about Microsoft versus PlayStation here. All right, guys. Overall, who won the E3 conference lineup? Right. We've seen all 5 conferences.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo didn't put themselves in. So, and neither did Square Enix, and a few others didn't put themselves in. So, overall, who won E3? We'll go around one by one. And, Justin, you want to start off?
I'd say who won E3, regardless of Final Fantasy 15, I'm giving it to Microsoft. Because they've just brought, like, a whole bunch of stuff. They won, like, at least by a landslide.
Right.
Because, like, you got the Xbox One S and the Project Scorpion, which is going to be a powerful...
Motherfucking powerful.
Like, freaking God tier S console. And you got all these... And then they gave so much exclusive content. I'm just like, yo, take my money already. But that's just me. Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
In terms of presentation and how they did...
Yeah, who won the conference lineup?
Of obviously whoever won, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's definitely Xbox. They totally stole it. You know, they just got it. Like, so right now, if I had the money right now, who would I just go out and go, just give my money to? I just give it to Xbox right now to just get the console and just like, hey, got a whole lineup of games right now. I'm just gonna start saving up my money and get those games. Just give it all to Xbox right now. Because, I mean, like, as I said before, I am not prejudiced towards one, console. I've been my first console was PlayStation and my second one was Xbox. So living with those two straight off the bat, Xbox had it, and had its awesome runs in the day. PlayStation has awesome runs in the day. And, just right now, I think Xbox has the upper hand. They are turning the tides in their favor, and they have, they're totally, they are just making new ways of gaming, and, like, the gaming industry is going to change because of them. So we're going to see something we haven't seen before, and it's just going to be, freaking awesome.
Right.
So...
All right. We look at the conferences, right? We started off with EA, and EA showed us the very corporate side of conferences. It was not... There were no wows. It was just, okay, whatever.
They're clearly the loser of this conference.
They're clearly the loser of this conference. Bethesda came out, showed off a bunch of new games that are coming out, their plans for the future, and it was a brilliant conference. But it didn't beat out Ubisoft. So I'd give them a 4th place finish. We saw Ubisoft, which delivered a number of games.
Yeah.
It hit high marks and it hit low marks. And
Ubisoft was exciting to me.
Ubisoft was exciting and had a lot to offer. You had the South Park moment, which was crazy and got people like shocked as heck. You had the new Tom Clancy game. There were just things in the Ubisoft conference that got people hyped and excited that we didn't even know we'd get excited about. We go down to PlayStation, and the weird thing about Microsoft versus PlayStation is it seemed like they went for 2 completely different angles, or 2 different directions with their conferences. PlayStation went a different direction, but they also were very misdirected. Like, everything, there was no identity to their conference. Microsoft's conference, through and through, was
Xbox.
We're Xbox. Here are our games. Coming with Windows 10, Xbox, and they run it through, and it feels all like it's working with Xbox. Maybe it was the setting, maybe it was the location, maybe it was something about the way that they present the games, but it was inconsistent. It didn't feel like there was a natural flow. It just felt like, here's one game, here's another game, here's one game up here, here's another game up here. Star Wars to this, and then Crash Bandicoot to a dark game. And it's the same issue that they've had since E3 2014, where their pacing is inconsistent with the feeling of the games that they're presenting. And I love PlayStation, but nothing is really topping that E3 2013 moment where they came out and they blew the lid off of everything. Okay. I hope they go back to what they originally went for with the stage, because the stage is now some opera house. I hope they go back to what they had before. But Microsoft's conference, they not only secured a plan for the present, like for gamers right now, you know that there's a new console that has 2 terabytes of storage and serves you.
Yep.
While also having games in the lineup for the next 5 or 6 months that will keep you interested in Xbox.
Yep.
And then, they also sealed their future by saying, we have games in 2017 that we're talking about right now to you guys. Here are a bunch. Here are more than 10 games that are coming out for our console in 2017. And then, guess what? At the end of 2017, we're going to give you a brand new console. A console that's way more powerful and will blow the socks off of any console that has ever been benchmarked in terms of console gaming, home console gaming. That identity that Microsoft had pushes it beyond the fact that they won. I mean, it's more than clear that they won. And it sucks that PlayStation didn't really throw the ball back. They just kind of let it sit there and they did their own thing. It's like Microsoft hit the volleyball and PlayStation is just playing in the sand, like making circles. Like they didn't even like look at the ball. They just kind of did their own thing.
Yeah.
Usually that's Nintendo off to the side doing their own thing, but they're not even there.
Yeah.
So
Like
I can't give PlayStation's conference was messier than Ubisoft's conference, which had Ubisoft's was at least consistent. Where if you were going to go for South Park, then you went into a softer tone after that, and then it's like, okay, you go into a darker tone when you go into this game, and I don't know where the identity was.
But
they had some good reveals.
PlayStation was trying to feed us give us little tidbits of surprising stuff in their conference, but it wasn't enough because the field in comparison. I got EA. They gave us a small little snack. They gave us a little treat, I guess.
Yeah.
And freaking Microsoft came in there with a 4-course meal. We get Ubisoft. We get a little dessert here and there, I guess. I mean,
it was sweet.
It was sweet. It was nice. But then you give us PlayStation trying to feed us a box of chocolates that's pretty a day old and shit, but
it's like no, they tried.
It's like you go to a 5-star restaurant, right? And you ordered something extravagant, right? They give you this big old presentation about what you're about to get and how delicious it's going to be, and then you get a strip of chicken with the little drizzles, you know how they make it all artsy and stuff. You know, they put the little strip of chicken, and it's still small, and it's like, oh, this is gonna fill me up. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
The little string bean.
I don't feel fed.
Right.
I mean, I'm hungry right now, actually, but I don't feel fed as far as
the conference.
As far as the conference is concerned, the hype was real for 15. Don't get me wrong. That was the best thing on the plate.
Yeah,
that was the only thing on the plate.
Except for Crash Bandicoot. Well.
And Crash. But that was the side dish, I guess. I don't know. To me.
Yeah. We're gonna. So this is our E3 wrap up, guys. Thanks for listening. Because I'm gonna have a giant tech gaming podcast that'll be probably 2 hours. Because this will be every single conference put together, and I'm gonna air it out. But we'll do a podcast later on talking about which console will be the best one to buy. And I think Xbox just proved to us that there's a lot more reason to buy their console.
$299.
The problem is going into this holiday. The problem is going into this holiday season that PlayStation didn't even try to fix their base console. The adjustments that Microsoft has made in the past year have been more substantial than PlayStation has done in the past 2 years. And so you have how PlayStation hasn't even put a terabyte into their here's the thing. Microsoft has just put a 2 terabyte hard drive into their fucking system. And now everyone's going to ask, why hasn't PlayStation put it? Only has 500
Yeah, how do you beat that?
Why haven't you done that yet, PlayStation? And now PlayStation doesn't have an answer to that. And they probably won't at the end of the year. Because they haven't announced that they're going to make a Slim, or because they don't need to make a Slim, but they haven't released at least one that has higher power. So, there's just a lot of disappointment to go around, whether it's EA with the Star Wars stuff, or Bethesda with the Dishonored stuff. There's some stuff to go around, and it just it was there. Guys, thanks for listening. I'm Bryan Swan, and
Jet Harris.
Jet Harris.
And Fire of Dragon Art.
Dragon Art and Fangirl too. But guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for there's more. Stay tuned for more.